And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. I also want to welcome those tuning in on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and Twitter. We're glad you all could be with us as well. If you guys are not familiar with Cyrus Webb Presents, we do bring you some great interviews and features, including my next guest who's returning with us. We're excited to welcome back visionary Omegia Keeys to our program. We're going to talk to her not only about the year she's having in 2023, but because it's Women's History Month, had to talk about the impact she's having as an entrepreneur, what she's been able to do in books, with film, as well as her podcast, all of which can be found here on Amazon. So I want you guys to do us a favor. If you guys are joining us on the Amazon Live platform, look over on this side or down below. You will see the books, movies, and podcasts that Omegia has brought to the world. Also, of course, we have the chat option open on all the platforms. So if you have any questions or comments for Omegia, make sure you guys put those in there. We'll make sure to be able to bring those in as well. Omegia, my friend, welcome back to the broadcast.
Hey, Cyrus. Glad to see you again.
Look, it is always a pleasure. You know, here's the funny thing about us, Omegia. We stay connected, of course, through social like everyone does. But it is always so exciting just to see how things just continue to move forward for you. I mean, you've had such an amazing year. You know, we've had you on before, talking about a Faded Reunion, another film and book project you have. Now we're talking about Keeping Secrets, another film and book project that you have. Talk to us about this feeling, because as we are recognizing March as Women's History Month, what has it been like for you to embrace your own history?
It has been amazing. I'm just on this journey of I'm not asking for permission to be great. There are so many things that I want to do. And so, I'm just writing them down and going down a list from this 5-year plan.
Love that. Love
So
that.
it's crazy to see it happen though.
Yeah. And you've had so many great things happening. As I mentioned, you're one of these rare people, Omegia, that are in my circle who you are able to do so many different things, but yet it all connects together, right? You write novels, but you also write business books. you know, you
Yeah.
give us these movies, but then you also are able to do documentaries. Talk to us about, is that just a part of doing what you're passionate about, or what has that been like for you to have a certain interest or project in mind, and then even if it's not like something you've done before, to be able to do it and to do it so well?
I am a strong believer of everything that I think of is my passion.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
if I feel it, I am a big activist. I've always been, someone who spoke out. My mother is someone who definitely speaks out. So I definitely get that side from her. And so for me being a filmmaker, yes, I do the fiction, but I would be remiss if I didn't do, the hard hitting stuff with the documentaries as well, because that's a big part of me as well.
Hmm.
So, that's just another extension of who I am as a person.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so many things I think that people have learned from that. So have you gotten used to the fact that you not only have an audience for the books, an audience for the movies, but also individuals who you personally are inspiring and motivating?
No, I have not. I have not gotten used to that part with the inspiring other people when I get those messages from people, because I am one of those people that like I do actually check my message, even though there's so many messages. I do check my messages when I get a chance. I might be, a couple weeks behind, but I eventually get around to checking them.
Mhm.
It always just blows my mind that I am inspiring people, because I always wished there were people that I could really look up to and be able to touch and ask questions sometimes too as I come along. And people be like, oh, well, you could have looked up to Oprah or Ava DuVernay or, people like that. But no, you really can't, because they're celebrity. They were already celebrities. And, when Oprah was really, not that she's not huge now, but I'm just saying when Oprah was coming through, social media didn't exist.
Yeah.
So you didn't have those faucets. And by the time social media existed, she was already really, really big.
Hmm.
So now in this world, being able to talk to people as they're on the rise is completely different. So like when I do have those moments and those chances, I do like to talk to people and inspire people when I have a chance. long as they're genuine and not just, hey, put my film on.
Yeah, right, right. And also, I would add too, Omega, you're someone you and I've had conversations just privately, if they're willing to do the work, because I think that's the other thing. People want to be on the red carpet, right? They want to
Yes.
have a book that's a bestseller, but they don't want to do the work to make those things happen. You are someone who's always known, for one, that it is work, it takes work, but also not being afraid of the work. Do you think that's one thing that has
Right.
separated you from others? Not that you compare yourself to other people, but you think that's one thing that separates you, is that you realize the work that's involved to make the dream a reality.
Well, the work is like building your house. If you don't have that foundation, your house is going to fall. Something is going to fail. So that's what the work is, building that foundation. I'm not here for a quick hit. I'm here for longevity. And putting in the work is how you get longevity.
Yeah. Such a great point. And in so many different ways. And you are not afraid to use your platform to help others. I have highlighted right now for you guys on the Amazon side. You'll notice the book Valuable is highlighted. Amiga did not write that book, but Amiga published that book. So I want to talk about how About Face Media has been able to do this. Amiga have been able to been the platform you've used to not only to produce your own work, but what has it been like for you to produce work like Valuable, the book that I've highlighted now on the Amazon side?
I mean, when you have like, first of all, Clay, as I know him because we actually served together in the military.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when he approached me about writing the book, my first thing for him was get it done, then come back to me.
Yeah.
So I'm always very, I'm excited when people I know, to see their journeys as well. Just like I'm very excited when I watch your journey. I'm always cheerleading for you as well.
Mm.
So it's only natural for me to bring other people under me when it's people that are willing to put in work. And let me tell you, Forrest Clay puts in the work.
Mm.
He puts in the work. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's really the key. So I want to do a compare and contrast for a moment, Amiga. And I want to say again, I appreciate you guys being with us. I see you guys over there on YouTube. Appreciate you guys being over there. Facebook, I see you guys too. On the Amazon Live side too, if you guys are just coming in, you all are watching Cyrus Represents. Omegia Keeys is back with us. She's a visionary and author. She's also a filmmaker. She is a podcast host. We're going to talk to her about her podcast that's here on Amazon as well. True Crime Remix. I just highlighted it there on the Amazon side for you guys to see. I want to talk about the two projects here, which are so, if people did not know you did them both, Amiga, they would not expect it. You have Faded Reunion that is so different
Okay.
than Keeping Secrets. so, so I want to talk about that because, I mean, talk about your interest and your passion. I mean, what has it been like for you to see the response to both of these books and projects?
It is crazy because it is so opposite sides of the spectrum. It's completely, left arm, right arm there.
Yeah.
In reality, because Faded Reunion that's the romance, that's the oh, let me find my love, while Keeping Secrets is kill them, slice them, dice them.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it's a different, but that's still all me. I like to read romance books and I like to read thrillers. I like true crime, and then I can go and watch, a chick flick on, Lifetime or something. Well, so
Hmm.
Lifetime be having killings too, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Right. Right. Right.
I just like both. So,
Yeah.
it's not a shock if you actually know me.
Got you. Got you. So let's talk inspiration then, because I'm sure people will find this interesting. I mean, because when they find something, it's like, okay, well, what inspired that? So talk to us about Keeping Secrets. That is the newest project. I'm gonna go ahead and highlight the book here on the Amazon side. There, I'm highlighting the book for you guys to be able to see there. Talk to us about where the idea initially came from.
I mean, I was always a reader of those John Grisham books. I love the Alfred Hitchcock movies and
Hmm.
things like that. So when I originally wrote the book the first time, it was back in 2012 before we revised and did everything now.
Hmm.
But it was for me when I wrote that was like I wanted people to see that other side of me, because before that it was just, the romance, and yes, I had the vampire novels by that time, but it wasn't really that full, true crime.
Yeah.
side of me, the crime dramas, put it that way, thrillers.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that was just me like freeing myself of that hold so I didn't get stuck in a box.
Mm.
But
Love it.
also at that time in 2013 is also when I switched to the film industry and I started working on the original. So it all kind of went together.
Mhm.
It was natural.
Yeah. Well, you just brought up an interesting thing that we have not talked about, Omega. So you here on Amazon, people can see some of their favorite television shows and films, like originals. What has that been like for you to go from being a part of other projects that are notable to now creating your own notable projects?
Well, it is crazy because, once we released Keeping Secrets and I seen, how far I had come as a filmmaker, and I look back and I started on that show as being a extra as a witch, and
Mhm.
then, moved up through, some other things. So just to see me being that person, just a little blur on the screen to being the one that people actually look to as an actual filmmaker, it is just wild to me. Sometimes I sit back and be like, "Am I really doing this? I guess so. It's out there,
Yeah.
huh?"
Right. Yeah. And I think too, again, it goes to why you're able to draw so many different people to you, Amiga, because you are able to touch on so many different bases. We're going to get to the podcast for sure. Before we do that, though, I do want to talk about some of the nonfiction work. I want to highlight it because, again, when I was putting together the carousel for this broadcast for Amazon, I thought about going back to the Brown Girls Guide. I have it highlighted there on and this is also Kindle reading month as well, so it's available there on Kindle. You guys can be able to get it, so make sure you guys take advantage of that. But also the book you did recently about being able to master your digital business. I want to talk about that part because again, I mentioned about what you've been able to do for for other authors and helping them have a platform. Why has it been important for you in the middle of everything else you have going on, Amiga, to be able to share the blueprint for others to follow when it comes to building their own business and brand?
Because as a Black woman, we're left out of so many of those conversations,
Mm,
and we don't, there is a lot of gifts, there are a lot of talents, but people do not have those opportunities.
gotcha.
So that is big. I want to be able to give that things that I wish that I had, to just give me a leg up and give them a leg up.
Hmm.
That's what I wish. But like, it takes people actually reading those, everything. People ask me how I do it. I've literally have put the stuff out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And I should say, I don't have it in here, I don't think, Amiga, but even going back to writing a book to help authors, you've done that too.
Yeah,
And so,
yeah.
yeah, you don't keep things secret. And I think that is the thing. It goes back to what we were saying earlier about the work, not being afraid of doing the work. And that's really what separates so many people from just talking about what they want to do to actually seeing the results because they're not willing to do that work. So, you did something this year that I'm working on. I'm not there yet. And that is just to kind of take some time and to kind of enjoy yourself, enjoy the moment. What has that been like for you to kind of step away from it for a bit? Even though I know you were probably having the laptop there working when we didn't see you, but because that's what I do. But I mean, what was it like for you to kind of just to reward you? That's the way I'll say it. What has it been like for you to take the time to reward yourself and celebrate you for what you've done?
I am getting better at it. I shall say that it was a relaxation slash working trip because that's how we plan out our next projects, our schedules, and everything. But just taking those moments to say and celebrate what you've done and enjoy it and allow it to sink in. You have to celebrate those moments. I literally had just finished my master's degree,
Mm,
released the film, um, back to back. So I had to take that moment and celebrate me instead of just jumping right into the next thing,
yeah.
because you got to celebrate you because anything can happen in life. So take those moments and enjoy your accomplishments. It doesn't matter what it is, and it doesn't matter if other people view it as an accomplishment. Celebrate
Yeah.
yourself, all the
Ooh.
wins. And so
Yeah.
that's why it was very important for me to take that time and get away and celebrate.
Mm. You, my good friend Earl Holland and I, we talk about all the time. Amiga, I just thought about it when you said that. Success is personal. And what is
Yeah.
success for some people, the big house, the fence, it's not my success. I don't want that stuff because I don't want the notes
Nope.
that come with that
Right.
comes with it. That's
Right.
not my thing personally. But I think what, like you just said, whatever it is for you, doesn't matter how other people see it. So, and that takes a certain mindset though. And in your industry, Omega, that's not easy because people are trying to be the next so and so. They want to compare you to this person, say you should be like this. I've known Omega a long time, so I kind of know the answer to this question, but I want to ask for the audience. How do you keep from letting yourself be watered down by what other people think and expect of you?
If I listened to whatever people thought and expected of me, I wouldn't be doing half the things that I'm doing now because, I started out as a track star.
Mm,
And I had all these expectations on me of what people felt I should do. And then, oh my gosh, heaven forbid, I got pregnant while I was in high school. So then that mindset of me being the state champion, it completely flipped. And I
mm,
should have been stuck home on welfare and all this other stuff. But no, I ended up getting a scholarship and still going to college and extending that. Those expectations. I hear, people negative and stuff. People, when I was writing the books, oh, those are your little books.
mhm.
Meanwhile, I was clearing almost six figures
Yeah,
from those little books.
yeah.
But, it's just those things. I don't pay people any mind because as black people, they don't expect us to do nothing anyway. So I'm
Mm,
coming, remember, I'm coming from that generation, as we're almost close in age,
mhm,
that my mom and my older siblings were born during segregation and Jim Crow. We're not supposed to
mhm.
be doing none of this. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna do everything because I can.
yeah, yeah. I tell people all the time, like you just said, I'm literally one generation away. I mean, my mother picked cotton, so I'm totally with you on that.
Mm.
And she didn't do it for fun.
Oh, you want to know something that's even crazier?
Yeah.
When I was younger, my great grandfather was alive,
Mm,
and I never realized when I was younger that this man was born in 1880
mm,
when I was younger.
yeah.
So it's definitely not far removed. And, some holds of slavery held on a long time. That sharecropping held on for a long time.
Mm,
So that is just within me. My mom is always like, oh, I wish I could have done the things that you can do. And so when I hear that, I'm like, well, let me give you a whole lot more because I want to be that extension of when we have those opportunities, we
yeah.
can do whatever. We can achieve great things
Yeah.
without, nepotism or whatever, because we don't have that.
Exactly. Such a great point. Vanessa Harris, hello to you on the Amazon Live side. Appreciate that follow. If you guys are on the Amazon Live side, you have not followed us here, make sure you guys hit that follow button. You can stay connected with all of our programming we have here on Amazon Live 6 days a week, which is Sunday through Friday. Is where you guys can find us here on Amazon. So click that follow button either here in this corner or down below as well. We're talking to Omegia Keeys today. Melissa says, love it. Melissa Banks is joining us on the Facebook side. Hello to you, Melissa. Good to be able to see you. Talking to Omegia Keeys about her extraordinary journey as it's Women's History. It's a lot of things that we can put you in, Omega. It's Women's History Month. It's National Reading Month. It's ebook reading month. And you check all the boxes
Hit 'em
there.
up.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I want to talk about the next thing. I'm going to highlight it in the carousel on the Amazon Live side. That is the True Crime Remix podcast. Now, this is interesting again, Omega, because you again are showing us different sides of you. For yourself, you also are able to share business tips via podcast. But how did the True Crime Remix podcast come about?
Well, I like I said, I've always been a fan of true crime, and I wanted to start it a long time ago, but I was like, I don't think people would listen to me, whatever. Then I just said, you know what? What's the worst that can happen?
Right.
People can watch. So
Right.
that's, that's the main thing. But I just wanted people to truly see because I'm very passionate about those stories that I tell, and I try to give as much information as I can. And because some stories, when other podcasters tell them that don't have a connection to the Black community,
Mm,
they skip over so many things that are pivotal to us. And I just want to tell those stories from our perspective,
mm,
and give them life, give them hope, and hopefully, some of the cases that aren't resolved, hopefully, shed more light on them so we can get answers for people.
right. And I think that's the cool thing. Vanessa says she is such an inspiration. Yes, she is, Vanessa. And she is definitely an
Thank
example of
you.
someone who does the work. To that point that you're making, Omega, I think the other thing that's interesting about you having the True Crime Remix podcast, and I have it featured there on the carousel, you guys can click there, maybe make sure you're following it here on Amazon, is that a lot of the stories you're sharing, I have to be honest, I've never heard of before. So I think you, because we know you, we're able to find out about things that other people may know about that we didn't know about because you're doing it. Is that one of the things you've heard too?
Yeah, like some people are like shocked at, where I find this stuff and come up with it and talk about it. I do a lot of research to find things, and
Right.
like I said, hopefully shed some light on some new things. I try not to go with the stories that are, right in mainstream that everybody knows about. I try to go dig a little deeper and get those other stories that,
Mhm.
you may not heard of. Like those Samuel Littles, like, because one thing I laugh at, people be like, oh, there's no Black serial killers. I beg to differ. There's a
Right.
lot of them who just
Yeah.
don't hear about.
Yeah.
So I just want, you know, just letting people know that, there are evil people out there and sometimes they look like us.
Yeah. Exactly. So that leads us into this. I can't believe the time's getting away from me here, but that leads us to this then, Omega. We talked about the books, we talked about the films, we talked about the podcast. What should we be on the lookout for next? Not that you haven't given us enough. There's plenty here on the carousel and Amazon you guys can go through. There's probably something you haven't seen, probably something you haven't read, and something probably you haven't listened to that you can find here on the carousel here on Amazon. But what are you looking forward to next, Omega, that you can tell our audience about?
All right. Well, first of all, go watch Keeping Secrets because we need all those streams. Second of all, yes. Second of all, we are taking the True Crime podcast and making it live for film. We are going to film our first episode in a few weeks.
Wow.
Murder, Vengeance, and Scams. It's a true crime series. They're standalone series. Each one is a feature film, but it's still all part of a series. So
Mhm.
the first segment, we're going to be documenting the killing of Nikisha Foster, and it's going to be a gut wrenching one, but a good one.
Mm.
I mean, I said Nikisha Foster. I didn't mean Foster. I'm sorry because I was combining her father. They call him Frost plus the Hawkins. So my bad. It's
Okay.
Nikisha Hawkins
Lakeisha Hawkins.
and that journey. Yes,
Okay.
that journey.
All right. So that gives us something to look forward to. And I do want to ask you about advice because, again, as we are celebrating Women's History Month and all that comes with that, and then, of course, taking into account the history you're making, Omega, as an author, as a filmmaker, as someone who's been able to do what you love in so many different aspects, what advice would you give to our audience out there? For those who have been thinking about doing something, for those who've been thinking about a book, thinking about a project they want to bring to life, what advice would you give to them?
Stop thinking about it. We're in the age of the information being at your fingertips.
Mm.
Google whatever it is that you need to know and do research. It's funny because I see people sometimes they ask a question on Facebook, and I'm like, well, if you would have just asked that question on Google, you would have got a true answer. But you know, it's all out there. Literally, for us to do the things that we do, we had to do the research and
Yeah,
figure it out. There was no playbook for us to figure this stuff out.
this is
But
true.
now people literally there are blog posts on, you could literally look up how to be a filmmaker, and there's step
Mhm.
by steps what you need to do, the basic steps. But do those things. And I say this: if you want to be an author, read books. If you
Mm.
want to be a filmmaker, go be an extra on the set. Go help out on some film sets. If you want to learn these things and use Google, there's videos for everything. There are how-to guides for everything. do your due diligence and stop just saying, oh, I want to do this and be that.
Yeah. Such a great point. And that's it. It goes back to what we talked about, Omega, doing the work. And it's so true what you said. It's hard to believe, and you were talking about when we first got started. You're right. There was no the people today. It's hard to now we're those people, Omega, who can say back when we got started, we didn't have all you know. But it's so true. We did not have the access, and we didn't have the social proof that we have today either. That these things would
No.
even work. And so now the proof is out there, like you said. I mean, people can literally go anywhere and get the information. It's just about what they choose to do with it. Such a great point. Again, everyone, Omegia Keeys has been our guest. Another great conversation with you, Omegas. I knew it was going to be. Make sure you guys do go and read Keeping Secrets and Faded Reunion. Hello to you, Dexter. Good to be able to see you on the Amazon Live side. Also, make sure you guys are watching. As you heard, Omega says, Keeping Secrets is coming here soon to Amazon, but you can go ahead and also watch Faded Reunion as well and take advantage of the other things Omega has here on Amazon as well, including, I'm going to go ahead and highlight it again, the True Crime Remix podcast. You can catch it there too as well. Omega, how can they stay connected with you?
Hey, you can follow Keeping Secrets movie on Instagram or Facebook and Twitter. And you can also follow me, OMEGIA KEEYS, on everything.
There you go. And we actually already have her tagged here on Twitter and on Facebook, so you guys can make sure that you guys get with her just by going to the post there. Omega, always a pleasure. So glad to have you back on with us, and looking forward to our next conversation together.
Thank you so much, Cyrus. Always, always a pleasure.
Appreciate that. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live, as well as streaming on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.